Welcome back. Now, the continued stay in office of current Inspector General of Police IGP Egbetokun, despite attaining the age of 60 in September 2024, has recently sparked debates over conflicting provisions in the Police Act regarding retirement age and tenure duration. Egbetokun's tenure, which took effect from October 31st, 2023, would have come to an end on his attainment of 60 years of age on September 4th, 2024. However, before his retirement age now, the Police Act was amended to allow the occupant of the office to remain and complete the original 4-year term granted under Section 7(6) of the Act, notwithstanding the fact that he has attained the age of 60 years. Now, this has therefore statutorily extended the tenure of office of Egbetokun in order to complete the 4-year tenure granted him. Clarifying the legality of Egbetokun's continued stay in office, the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Lateef Fagbemi, has dismissed the notion that the IGP's 4-year tenure is an act of illegality, asserting that the continuous stay in office of the IGP is legal and lawful. Now, the Nigeria Police Force has also clarified that the approval of the IGP's 4-year tenure is not an extension but a proper application of the law governing the office of the Inspector General of Police, and therefore aligns with the provisions of the amended Police Act. In recent years, tenures now of successive Inspector Generals of Police have actually triggered controversy over the police chief's stay in office beyond the prescribed 35 years of service or the 60 years retirement age. Human rights activist and former presidential candidate now, Omoyele Sowore, had sparked public debate by challenging the legality of the IGP Egbetokun's extended tenure. Sowore labeled Egbetokun as, quote, an illegal IGP in public statements and social media posts, contending that the IGP's continued service beyond the mandatory retirement age of 60 and after completing 35 years in service was unlawful. Now, this dispute has led to legal actions, with Sowore facing charges for allegedly using his social media platforms to refer to Egbetokun as, quote, an illegal IGP. Let's try to unpack all of this now. I'm being joined on the program by legal practitioner and political affairs analyst Libros Oshoma. Libros, thank you very much for coming on the program. What exactly is the position of the law with regards to IGP Egbetokun's continued stay in office as the Inspector General of Police? What is the current position?
Yeah, thank you, DG. First and foremost, like you said, let us unpack the law. And we're talking unpacking the law. We're talking about the Police Act here now, not the Constitution, because and then by extension, we would say that the law is what the court says it is. So in this case, eventually, maybe the court will have to tell us the right interpretation. But if you look at Section 7, subsection 6 of the Police Act, it states that any person appointed to the office of the Inspector General of Police shall hold office for 4 years. But however, Section 18.
This is the amended. This is the amendment, right?
That has been the position of the Police Act, Section 7(6) of the Police Act.
Yeah.
But however, Section 18, subsection 8 of the same Police Act says that every police officer shall on recruitment or appointment serve in the Nigerian police for a period of 35 years or until he attains the age of 60, whichever is earlier. So, however, in July 23rd, 2023, the Police Act was amended by insertion or introduction of section, a paragraph 8A. So the paragraph of subsection 8 of section 18 that I just read now.
Yeah.
And that paragraph 8A, if you permit me,
go on.
gave the IGP a special civil service right and enforce section 7(6) of the Act. And so what that section simply did was to cloak the IGP with the secure tenure of office. That any IGP appointed, shall serve out the 4-year term prescribed in Section 7, subsection 6, irrespective of his retirement age. That's the new insertion of Section 18, subsection 8A. That's the controversial section that is creating all of the problems.
But, what does the Constitution say?
No, the issue here is not the Constitution. It is the Police Act. The Constitution just provides for, the appointment of an Inspector General. It is the Police Act that spells out how it shall be appointed, the tenure of office, retirement age, and all of that. So, but however, the problem here now is that some lawyers are of the view that since that Section 18, subsection 8, paragraph 8A, paragraph A, did not expressly mention the fact that Egbetokun shall be a beneficiary. And that so to that extent, that it is the person that will come after Egbetokun that should benefit that amendment, and not Egbetokun. So what that means really, DEJI, even if you have 2 days or 1 day to retirement, the moment you are appointed as the Inspector General of Police now, irrespective of your age, irrespective of your tenure, irrespective of the time of retirement, as spelled out in Section 18, subsection 8, by virtue of that amendment, that is section of paragraph A, irrespective of the time you have, you will serve out 4-year tenure. But the question now is whether Egbetokun can benefit from that amendment. His name not expressly mentioned in that provision, in that law, or his office specifically mentioned in that amendment, because actually the amendment was to accommodate Egbetokun's tenure in office. He was to retire in October, and the amendment came in July. So that's where the court.
Do you get the impression, and I seem to get the impression that amendment was, would I be right to say that somehow that amendment was sort of political, and it was done just to give Egbetokun an opportunity to continue to remain in office, that the president actually wants him to be in office?
Yes. What that amendment simply did, okay. Yes, that's subsection 8A. It says, any person appointed to the office of the Inspector General of Police shall remain in office until the end of the term stipulated in the letter of appointment, in line with the provisions of Section 7C of this Act. That amendment, to a very large extent, because the amendment was the amendment was passed in the House by the two houses concurrently with supersonic speed, and I think it was done expressly to accommodate Egbetokun in office for the next 4 years. But some lawyers have argued that whether it was done to accommodate Egbetokun, the fact that the amendment did not expressly state that Egbetokun, being the sitting IG, shall be a beneficiary of this amendment. But also, some others have argued that no, you do not need, provided that Egbetokun's tenure had not lapsed, in as much as Egbetokun is still in office and there is an amendment to the law, and that he's a beneficiary of that office. So those are the two schools of thought, that are arguing on this matter. And like it happened with the service chiefs during, I think, Goodluck Jonathan's tenure, when there was argument whether the Senate needed, whether the service chiefs needed a confirmation of the Senate or not, and Professor Keamu approached the court for the court interpretation on, and the court eventually ruled that the service chiefs would need a Senate clearance. I think, some persons will have to also approach the court for a clear court interpretation, because the Showore School of Thought believe that amendment, Egbetokun cannot be a beneficiary. While the Attorney General School of Thought believes that Egbetokun, being the occupant of that office, his tenure not having expired before the amendment, certainly that he would be a beneficiary of that amendment. So those are the, that's
now let me ask you this. Shouldn't the law that applies to civil servants in the country, because I know civil servants are supposed to retire, I think, at the age of 60 or haven't done about 35 years in service, shouldn't that law have applied? Because that law is still there anyway. Is this not a contravention of that law? So is there any form of contravention of the 18, Constitution in this case?
That is the provision of Section 18, subsection 8 of the Police Act, that once you attain the age of 65 or you have served 35 years in office, whichever comes first. But Section 7, subsection 6 states that an IG appointed shall serve 4 years. Before now, the presumption was that once you are appointed, for you to be an IG, you still certainly would have about 4 years remaining in service. That, I think, is the intendment of the drafters of the law. But Nigeria being what it is, now you have IGs whose tenure are remaining 2 days in office. And so, surreptitiously, under the cloak of, oh yes, we need to have a secure tenure for an IG, paragraph 8A was smuggled, or the law was amended to accommodate paragraph A that says that provided that once you are appointed as an IG, you shall serve out the 4-year tenure in fulfillment of Section 7, subsection 6. The question now is, when the retirement age of judges were increased, for example, from I think 65 to 70 or from 60 to 65, the judges who were due for retirement but were still serving, did they benefit from that amendment? Recently also, in Edo State, I think the government also accommodated an amendment to increase the retirement age for medical doctors. The medical doctors who are serving and probably had about 3-4 months, to exit, were they beneficiaries of the amendment to accommodate them to remain in service? So these are big questions that people are asking. And I think that all of this, for me, as lawyers, I think instead of all of this back and forth argument, somebody who believes, or if there is any cause to disagree with the interpretation given by the Attorney General, I think the court ordinarily would be the best place to, iron out those issues. That was why I said at the beginning that the law is what the court says it is. So
but in the whole of this, but in the whole of this, there's no provision that says the president cannot sack the IG in that 4-year, even if his tenure, even if his stay in office is tenured, the president can still fire him, right?
Yes, if it is not the president now, it is not the president. It is the Police Service Commission. The Police Service Commission, if the Inspector General of Police commits infractions.
No, but we know when new presidents come sometimes. We know when new presidents come, they just want to appoint their own IG, and they look for a way to fire the one who's in office.
To the president, and I think it is also just like the service chief. It is by 2/3 majority of the House. But I think every president would want to have his own IG. But I think it is high time. My challenge really, DEJI, is the fact that the APC, while they were in opposition, they did argue. It was their position. They canvassed it, across the length and breadth of Nigeria, that a president should not be the appointer of the Inspector General of Police. That is, Nigerian police and the Office of the Inspector General of Police should be insulated from the vagaries of politics. And so, to that extent, the president should not be the appointer of the IGP. But as in this case, now they are in office, they are beneficiaries of the same thing that they had criticized. I would have expected that the amendment we'll be debating now would be that, there's an amendment to the Police Act that
you cannot fire.
Insulate the police completely from the interference of politicians, the presidents and governors, so that the police will not be used, by politicians to manipulate elections. I think that's where we should be discussing, and not the president having powers to recommend extension for police IG or tenured period for police IG. It should come naturally from the National Assembly and not from the president.
All right, Liberal Soshoma, thank you very much for coming on the program and for enlightening us on this very controversial issue. Thanks a lot.
My pleasure.
All right, we'll take a short break and we'll be right back. Stay with us. Don't go away. Opinions are free, facts are sacred, but truth is universal. How, in practical terms, can we, for instance, de-escalate the tension?
When you go into public office, you must be ready to answer to the people.
We know where the enemy is. 3 places. The Lake Chad Basin, the border area between Nigeria and Cameroon, and then the Sambisa Forest.
On DEJI360, we give you a complete dose of everything. Opinion, facts, and undiluted truth.
I hardly believe what politicians say in this part of the world.
A new Nigeria is possible, a future is possible.
We delve into the issues, dissect it so that you can understand it, and use it to take action.
I don't think there's any need for any governor to look for grant for ranching.
DEJI360, dissecting the issues.